Okay, so we are now on the step 2. As you remember in the previous part of the video, I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but whatever. In the previous step, we saw this as a final, result of the first step. Now, step 2 was to actually deepen our research. Just to make the story clear, I said to myself that I'm going to build my concept around connections which are formed on Tinder and could be enhanced by ASOS as a brand, and types of connections that people can build. It's purely my input into this whole concept. So for me, it could be a chemical connection, a chemical connection, an electricity, a biological connection, or a spiritual connection between, couples or people. So I've basically Googled chemical connections on Google, but don't forget that the best images that you can get on Google is when you type it in English, when you make the search in English, not in French. Or if you want to have precise, for example, to your culture, I don't know, for example, if you come from Iran, probably if you search it in your language, you will get really stuff from within your culture. Same goes for Spain, same goes for any other country that speak other language. Once you use Google, you will get the references that are mostly used within that part of the internet. So for me, I stay with English, chemical connections, electricity. And you can see that we have some really rich, already almost pattern-like images that I took. And here I also put for each of the type of connections a place where a date could happen, so that it gives me, a kind of a framework for the date. So that means that the people who will be going, for example, to the bars, they would be dressed in one way. The people who would go, I don't know, on the streets, they would be dressed, a different way. Those who would go, for example, to a chic restaurant, you see here, they would also be dressed differently. And the spiritual people will as well have their own style. So these are the images that speak a lot for me visually. And you can see I already kind of get myself into some creative ideas by just placing and mixing the patterns all together. What happens next is that you can see here there is a lot of visual images and it's a little bit confusing. And that's what happens most of the time when you are doing the initial research for your mood boards. You will have a lot of images. They all are quite enriching for you, but you need to find the best and the most important one that will lead you to where you want to go. Me, I've selected from each of those little boards, let's say 1, 2, 3 images, depending on the part of the board. But here I placed people for me to be able to imagine the personalities and the type of outwear and the type of style they would be probably dressing. And that gave me small references to where I can go. You see, like the patterns that I could create, for example, the shapes that I could use as well. So from here, you actually have to go to your design development of not only your patterns, but also the looks itself. And I will explain to you later what I've done. That would be your step 3. Create silhouettes for the collection, create patterns for the collection, embroidery design on knitted pieces, using the mood board that you've done. Hope it helps.